If I had to do my genealogy all over again, what would I do differently? We're going to talk about all of that coming up next. Hey, welcome back to another episode on Genealogy TV. My name is Connie Knox. I am a lifelong genealogist here to help you go further, faster, and factually with your family history research. Now, there is a newsletter, a website, and a Facebook page. Links for all of that are in the show notes below. We're going to jump into this subject, the 10 things that I think I would do if I were starting all over again today. So we're going to jump into that here in just 1 second. I do want to let you know there is a handout for this episode. If you want the handout, there are information in the show notes, so check that out. All right, let's jump over to the computer and see what we can learn. Okay, if I had to start my genealogy all over again, I think the very first thing I would do, the number one thing I would do, is sign up with Ancestry. And honestly, they're not sponsoring this. This is just my opinion. I think Ancestry has some of the strongest tools out there, some of the easiest tools to use. Now, of course, it's a complex system, so, I mean, you can kind of get into the weeds as to how to use it, but really it's quite easy to add people, to connect people. And so the thing that I really like about it is their trees, right? Your ability to have your own tree, not shared by anyone else. You have total control over your tree, and you can integrate DNA with it. And Ancestry has more DNA kits than anybody. So we're going to talk more about that here in a minute, but this is the first thing I would do. And if you are not on Ancestry and you would like to give it a try, I'll leave a free trial link in the show notes on the YouTube channel, and you can try and give it a try if you're not on Ancestry, because they really do have billions of records, some of which are nowhere else because they paid to get them, and so they're on their platform. And so that's when you're working with Ancestry, there are some records that are free to use and other records that are behind the paywall. And the reason why they're behind the paywall is because they had to pay for those records. The other thing that you need to know too is that Ancestry owns Find a Grave, and they also own newspapers.com. So they've integrated all of that information together as part of the algorithm when they're hinting and sending you information as to who might be in your tree. So the search functions here are awesome. And, you know, I've got tons of videos of how to do different kinds of searches on here. That's what I would do if I were getting started with my genealogy all over again. The first thing I would do is sign up with Ancestry. The next thing I would do is write a research question. Now, I've been doing this for 45 years, and I had no idea when I first started genealogy that writing a research question would be so important. But writing a research question is simple, but it's focused. It focuses your research. So instead of just doing a shotgun blast at the entire tree or raking up all the little leafy hints on the tree, I recommend you write a research question, and it is about somebody you want to know about, where they were, when they were, and what it is you want to know. So it's simple. Write a research question. That is the next thing I would do. If I were starting all over again, I would put the very basics in Ancestry, maybe my parents, my grandparents, and then I would write a research question. The next thing I would do if I were starting all over again is get an account at FamilySearch. It's free. You'd be crazy not to, because they have incredible records over there. You don't even really have to build out your tree if you don't want to. It's wise that you do, but you know, if you're putting your primary tree, say on Ancestry or someplace else, you can still use the search tools at FamilySearch because they have records that nobody else has. And they're really big into vital records. So make sure that before you pay for a death certificate, a birth certificate, or a marriage certificate, that you check with FamilySearch to see if they don't have it already. Now, this is a world collaborative tree. While it will, if you attach yourself or you start building out your tree, it'll give you the view of yourself first, as it does with me here in my Ancestry. But this whole tree is shared with the world. So it's one tree that everybody contributes to. But there are research tools here at FamilySearch that you won't find anywhere else. And one of my favorites is the FamilySearch Wiki. And if you haven't heard me talk about the FamilySearch Wiki, oh my gosh, this is the powerhouse tool. This is the tool from which you decide, okay, how am I going to find a death certificate in Oklahoma in, I don't know, 1920? Go here, drill in by location, and you can find out where to get those records based on the location and the era in which you are searching. So it's very simple. I have lots of videos on how to use the research wiki here at FamilySearch, but I promise you it's safe. You will not get inundated with a bunch of emails and stuff, or spam kind of emails. They're only there to help you. And their mission is to build a world collaborative tree. And so I can't say enough about FamilySearch and the search tools that are there, especially. The other cool part about FamilySearch is the tree view. You can change the colors. You can, by birth locations. This menu, I think, used to be over on the left, if I recall. And you can also change to different landscape portrait views. They have a lot of different tree views. And you can also change the number of generations at the top. So I like the dark color. I keep mine inverted. But long story short, FamilySearch has some really powerful tools. It's free. You'd be crazy not to, because it's just that easy. And honestly, when you're doing your family research, all the tools in your tool belt help, and especially when they're free. So I think if I were doing my research over again or just getting started, I would sign up with FamilySearch the same day I signed up with Ancestry. Okay, the very next thing I would do is I would get a DNA test done immediately. Now, you can get DNA tests on sale typically during the holidays: Mother's Day, Father's Day, 4th of July, Thanksgiving. It usually starts for the Christmas holiday. So there's a lot of times in which the DNA kits go on sale, but they're still reasonably affordable. So I would start with Ancestry. And the reason why is because as of this recording, I think they have about 22 million DNA test takers out there. So you would have more opportunity to connect with other DNA cousins. And it's those DNA cousins. It's those cousin matches, this center box right here. It's that center box where you're going to find the meat and potatoes of and help you figure out your family history using DNA. And so there's a lot of videos I've got on that as well. If you want to try a DNA kit, I will leave a link for that as well in the description as to how you can get a DNA kit. Now, Ancestry only offers one type of DNA kit. And once you are in and you've got your DNA taken, you got results back, you can actually download those results and send them to other places. Again, lots of videos on how to do that, but you can upload that DNA results to other DNA companies to try and get more cousin matches. That's a little bit more advanced strategy, but you can certainly do it. You can play with the ethnicity estimates. Now they've improved the ethnicity estimates to where we can split our parents apart if you know that one side is unique from the other. You can look at your ethnicity estimates and identify which side is your paternal from your maternal side. So there's just a lot going on with the DNA stuff. And I have tons of videos on how to group your DNA matches along your family lines so that you can help explore those cousin matches to help find more results. So that is the next thing I would do if I were starting all over again. They didn't have DNA when I started, but yeah, I would definitely get a DNA kit. And actually, if you have parents or elders that are around that you can get DNA from, I would certainly go ahead and get those DNA tests done. So you could buy several kits if they're on sale. Or not on sale, but still, I would get that done immediately, especially with the eldest members in the family. Okay, the fifth thing on my list here to tell you about is the card catalog at Ancestry. Now, as with all card catalogs, but I'm gonna use Ancestry as an example, get to learn how to use card catalogs, especially at Ancestry, for researching your family history. The reason I say that is because when you are searching from an Ancestry's profile, it is different than what you do at the card catalog. There are several different ways to search on Ancestry. So if you are, say, here on your family tree, you can click on a person's mini profile, if you will, and hit search from here, which is pretty much doing the same thing as searching from their full profile. So if we hit search, we're going to get different results than what you would with the card catalog. And the reason why is because the search pre-populates with all of this information about the person that is in that ancestor's profile already. And so when you are searching, the results are going to be such that it is taking into account the items that you already had in the ancestor's profile. Well, if we have too many things, we could be filtering out the records that we are seeking. So by searching the card catalog, starting from scratch and learning how to use the card catalog, again, there are videos on how to do this, but you can search, you drill into the location, to the state, drill into the time period, and start looking at the categories for which you are looking for. So let's say you're looking for a death date. So you might want to go into birth, marriage, and death and see if you can find, that death date, right? But by doing through the card catalog, you're getting everything unfiltered, totally unfiltered. And so once you get it down to a short list of records, you can decide which record set looks promising. You can also look at how many records are in that record set and see if there is something there. So you would then open up each of the record sets individually and search that way. Again, lots of videos on how to use the card catalog at Ancestry, but this is something that is highly important. And if I were starting all over again, I would make sure that I understood how to use the card catalog at Ancestry. We're going to talk more about the last 5 items of that I would do if I were doing my genealogy over again here in just a moment. There are 3 ways you can get the handouts. Now, the first way is to join the channel membership here at the Information Access Level channel membership on the YouTube channel, and then go to the Community tab and you'll find the posts that have the handout links in there. All you have to do is follow the link and download the handouts. Okay, now the second way is over at Patreon. Now at Patreon, if you're at the Happy Dance level or higher, you can get the handouts. Those come directly to you in an email every time we announce the new video that has a handout with it. You'll also get early release with that membership. All right, and then the third way is just to go over to genealogytv.org and click on the handouts tab, and you can find all the handouts there for individual purchase. So I hope that was helpful. The handouts really do support the channel, and for that, I thank you. Oh my gosh, you guys. All right, tip number 6. So this is the next thing I would do, and I think probably is one of the most underutilized tips that I give. And that is to either pick up the phone or email the county library in the area in which you are searching. So remember, we talked about a research question. So if you have a research question that is specific about a certain person, a place, and a time, get a hold of the county librarian in that area and say, hey, this is my research question, and I would really like to know if you have any resources that you might think would fit that bill. You're not asking them to go look something up, but they may offer it. You never know. But I would get specific on what your research question is and then say, hey, do you have anything that fits that era? And they go, yeah, we got a whole stack of newspapers over here that are, from that area, that era. And so that may be helpful, is to get a hold of the county librarian, either email or pick up the phone. Okay, so the next thing I would do as we're starting to find stuff is write little mini stories. Let me show you something. You can take these little mini stories and create little Facebook groups or whatever platform you want to share these little mini stories on, and create little stories where, you're sharing what you find with your family members. You invite them to the Facebook group. Now, you can write little stories and just send them off through emails or whatever, but I have found this to be really helpful. So even though you're not spending a ton of time on it, you're just, in this case, I'm identifying some people in a photograph, and I have said, hey, here's what I found. And people start responding and going, hey, I remember that picture or whatever. And so you can get some feedback as well. Writing little mini stories, keep them. Don't leave them just on Facebook. Keep them in your Ancestry files because they might be little snippets in your book eventually. So you never know. But, Facebook may not live forever, but hopefully your stories do. If I were starting over again in today's world, I would make sure that I am checking out the digital collections at the state archives in which I'm researching. Now, this is Alabama's state archives main page, but they also have a digital collection. All of the states have digital collections. In fact, I did a whole episode on the digital collections at the various state archives, and complete with a handout that's available at genealogytv.org right now. But it has links, hyperlinks to all of the digital collections for every state in the United States, as well as contact information. So I would make sure that you are contacting the archives, but also learn the digital collections in the states in which you are researching, because they are a valuable tool that, more and more, especially since the pandemic, more and more of the records that they have that are specific to genealogy interests are coming online. The ninth thing that I would do if I were doing this all over again is I would keep research notes right from the start. I didn't learn this tip until, 10 or 15 years ago. I started developing this because my research notes were everywhere. They were in little scraps of paper. They were in file folders. They were a little note from the library, those little sheets of paper that you can write on at the reference desk. I had all kinds of stuff. Now everything is nice and neat in research notes. And here's the tip for research notes. Do them in chronological order. I only do them on direct line ancestors or people that I am trying to resolve a problem, because research notes will help you resolve problems. I promise. There's a whole series of stuff I've done on research notes. And so anyway, that's my tip. Is this is an example of my grandfather's research notes, complete with some reference notes. And so they're incredible. That's more than you can put on Ancestry or any other platform. And quite frankly, sometimes you don't want everything on a public platform. So there you have it. Keep research notes, because it really does. I promise you, it solves problems. All right, the 10th tip for you, if I were starting this all over again, is I would take a class right from the start, because you learn so much through classes. Now, I have the YouTube channel. You got all this free opportunity to get educated here at Genealogy TV. There are, I think to date, about 290 some episodes that you can see to help you with your education. All right. So long story short is, even if it's short snippets of videos, take some education, start getting an understanding, especially if you're new to genealogy, but keep educating. I keep taking classes, right? Continuing education is a good thing. Plus, things are constantly changing and evolving, and new records are coming online, and new strategies are coming about. New DNA strategies are coming about. So keep your education going. You can do all kinds of free classes on YouTube. There are some good quality educational platforms out there. I recently started one in March of this year called the Genealogy TV Academy, where we're taking a deep dive. I think a lot of people are getting involved in that. If you go to genealogytv.org and click on the About tab, if you're not already a member, you can learn a little bit more about the Academy and the kind of stuff that we're getting involved in. I think one of the big selling points for the Academy at Genealogy TV's Academy is the live Zoom calls, because we get together on Zoom calls and we have a presentation once a month, and then we also have a separate session for Q&A. And so I think that's pretty helpful if that's something you're interested in. I will leave a link in the show notes below. But no matter whether you get educated at my facility or someplace else, continue your education as you go. I have been doing genealogy education myself my entire 45 years of research, starting with genealogical societies and taking their classes and going to their presentations. I highly recommend you join the genealogical societies. There's a bonus tip in the areas in which you are researching. And the genealogical societies can use the support, because it's the genealogical societies at the hyperlocal level who know where the records are. And they also can help you maybe with your research. So I hope that was helpful. You guys, it's always fun doing these videos. I really do appreciate it. And with that, I thank you.